I just like broke down in my car. I'm like crying right now. And, I didn't understand it at the time, but he was happy for me because I became saved that day. God had pulled me out of the world, and he had pulled me out of the darkness, and he let me see the light.
Yeah, that's a good question, Casey. Where the fuck did she go? If she got pulled out of the world, did she have an out-of-body experience? Because, that ain't Christian. Like, out-of-body, like the astral plane or whatnot, that's not Christian-y shit. That's Wiccan shit right there. That's pagan shit. I don't know what the fuck you're feeling there, girl. But I would love to know where you got pulled to. Like, did you pull off the side of the road and God yanked your ass out the car? Or were you speeding along and God was like, don't worry, Jesus will take the wheel, and yanked her ass out? Like, women don't need to drive. What is up, heathen? How you doing tonight? I'm doing pretty good. KC, how are you doing? Tonight we are looking at, of course, a person that used to be an atheist and then was convinced somehow to become a Christian. If you notice my face looks really red, it's because I've gotten some sun. Yes, I do occasionally go out of the apartment. It's rare, but it happens. But tonight we are looking at what kind of arguments would it take for you to stop being an atheist and believe in the Christian God. What would it take for you personally to do that? I would love to know down in the comments section what would turn you away from atheism and take up Christianity or take up Islam. That's what we're kind of looking at today. Let's go ahead and get to this woman here. She says that she was staunchly an atheist, like hard line as it comes. She was an atheist. So we're going to find out tonight exactly why why she turned away from her atheism. So let's go ahead and fire this up.
Hey guys, so I'm just running around with my daughter. We're running errands today, and she ended up falling asleep in her car seat.
God damn it, tits. Now we know Oh wait, she hasn't said anything. Jump the gun.
So I thought it would be a good opportunity for me to just take a moment to share with you guys my testimony about how I became a Christian.
Please do. I would love to hear, atheists and the like former atheists that have become a Christian tell me exactly what convinced you. I'm very interested in that question.
And, maybe you guys have a similar story that you'd like to share with me, and I would absolutely love to hear it. But here's a little bit of my backstory. So, pretty much my whole life, I grew up calling myself an atheist. I did not believe in God. I did not believe that there was a God. I believed in, science, the theory of evolution, all that stuff that they teach you in science class.
Okay, first of all, you don't believe in science. Science is demonstrable. It has predictive ability. You don't believe in science. You just accept that science does its best to provide an accurate picture of reality. So you don't believe in evolution. You accept evolution as a fact. And you accept science and the scientific method as they are, as the tools that they are. So it's not a belief. Let's just get that, cleared up right off the bat. As for her growing up, not believing in a God and everything, I'm wondering if maybe a lot of these people confuse secular with atheist. And I think that a lot of people do. And I feel like she probably grew up secular and not exactly atheist. I would highly disagree with any atheist that is out there right now telling their kids, oh, hey, God doesn't exist. You do not ever need to believe in God. I think that they should allow their kids to come to whatever conclusion that they're going to come to, and not force any kind of position on them. A lot of people would see that as teaching atheism or secularism, I guess. It's really kind of a toss-up as to how you want to raise your kids. I'm not here to tell anybody how to raise their kids. I'm just saying I heavily disagree with anybody pushing any certain position as far as atheism and theism go on their children.
I vaguely remember for a short time, maybe when I was in 5th grade, very little, my parents tried to take us to church for a while, and it just didn't stick with my family.
Oh, okay. So they were Christian. It's not that she didn't believe in God. It's that her parents didn't raise her as like a hardline Christian. So I feel like the label secular here is more descriptive of your beliefs as far as back then, because I feel like atheists take some kind of concerted effort, like mentally, in order to not believe in the existence of a God.
So we stopped going. And I would say probably sometime in middle school is when I decided that I wanted to just go with, the theory of evolution, because I had, these adults, my teachers, teaching me as a child, that this is scientific fact. They had the textbooks and everything to back it up. So I thought it was legit. So I went with it,
Okay. Here's something else to clear up. Evolution isn't a belief system. It's not evolution or Christianity. There are plenty of Christians out there that believe evolution to be real, and believe in God. Like I was talking with this one guy today called the genetically modified skeptic. And he actually was a young Earth creationist before he went to an astronomy class. Then he comes out an old Earth creationist. So, I mean, he believed in 4.5 billion year old Earth, evolution, all that kind of good stuff. And he eventually, moved on from there. So it's very interesting that a lot of Christians are told or perceive it as a choice between evolution and Christianity. I would say it's a choice between evolution and fundamentalist Christianity, but I still think that even then you could still keep the Christianity part. You just don't have to be fundamentalist about it.
It wasn't until I was 24 years old that I met my now husband. We met online. And he's embarrassed to tell people that, but whatever. We met online, and he had been saved 2 years prior, 2 or 3 years prior to us meeting.
Well, I get that she's meaning like the Christian saving, but I've never understood the whole saving thing in Christianity. I guess maybe that's because I didn't ever feel it in Christianity. Like I was saved. It's like, oh, I didn't know I was drowning or in trouble. I was walking to class. Like I never considered myself in need of saving. I always felt like I was, I guess, quote unquote, saved, as far as they put it,
So he was a Christian at the time, and I knew that, even though I was an atheist when we met. But I didn't really think it was a big deal. I'm like, okay, he's a Christian. That's fine. As long as we don't talk about it, like it's not going to bother me. We can still date. And he did end up talking to me about it a lot, quite a bit, because he was just so on fire for the Lord at the time that he just wanted to share everything with me that he had learned over the years. Because after he became saved, he was just, like I said, so on fire for God. He was diving into his word, studying constantly. And so when he met me, it was a bit of a challenge, talking to an atheist, but...
Okay. So let me get this straight. I guess you didn't work it out with him beforehand. Maybe this is part of the communication deal as far as any relationship goes, but maybe you should have had a conversation with him beforehand. If you were like, well, if we just don't talk about it, then... I guess everything will be okay. I always pick the best freeze frames, right? But so you weren't going to talk about it, but he eventually, I'm guessing this is what happened. He eventually wore you down, to the point of you felt like you had to convert to Christianity in order to stay with the relationship. So, I mean, I'm not saying that is exactly what happened, but I'm wondering if maybe that is what happened. With him being so on fire for the Lord, My guess is that with him not relenting, if you're not telling him to stop, that you don't believe in the stuff, then I mean, I can understand being kind of overwhelmed by it. That would never convince me. I think that I would be like, look, I understand you're on fire for Jesus. I mean, you pretty much went to the street, poured gasoline on your head, and lit yourself on fire screaming, Jesus! Oh, that's called the clap? Oh, I thought that's when you peed fire. Peed fire, on fire. Same difference, right? You know, I just feel like this was like a breakdown in communication in the relationship to begin with. I can't say that there's a very positive outlook on your relationship. I don't know, though.
I think God prepared him for that because he knew a lot, and he knew how to talk to me about it in a way that was, I mean, of course, at times I did get offended because, you know, sometimes the truth offends people and people don't want to hear, you know, the God.
I think stupidity is quite offending too. And I would say that it's not the fact, it's like not the fact that he was speaking any kind of truth. I feel like he was probably saying a lot of untrue things, like Jesus is the only way to heaven. We know that's not exactly true because there's also Muslims. You know, in Islam, there's a way to heaven. And there's multiple different ways to heaven. Some have fallen by the wayside. So, you know, he probably said a lot of things that sounded really good, but if you actually stop to think about it for a minute, I think that you would convince yourself otherwise. Like you would see through the fog that he was, I guess, vaping out of his mouth, because he sounds like he probably vapes.
Gospel when they're non-believers, they just don't want to, and that was the story for me. You know, I was an atheist, and I thought that science was the right way, and anything else was just silly. It was just, you know, like fairy tale, really, is what I thought.
Okay, well, I mean, this is common amongst most atheists, feeling that mythical stories that are made to make you feel better about yourself or to make you feel better about the shit you're doing it is fairy tales, because I mean, if you think about it, they are. At least like most of the Bible, like I would say that there's very little in the Bible that could be considered like factual. Like for instance, there was Herod. He was an actual ruler. So I mean, like there are little things like that, but like the events in the Bible, those aren't true. Those are all fairy tales. But I mean, they are. So I get how she perceives it to be, you know, science versus Christianity, because science, and I believe that this is a Dawkins quote, but science is like very toxic to Christianity and faith in general. So, you know, I get how they perceive it that way, but it's really not.
And it took a few weeks, you know, a few months for him to, you know, just pretty much daily talk to me about the Bible. And I liked him so much at the time that I just let him do it. You know, it was kind of annoying to me, but I let him do it. And
yeah, honey, it sounds like she's just kind of like a lazy girl that's just wanting to keep the attention of the guy who's only got fucking on his mind. It's like, you know, I really wasn't into it, but I just let him do it. I just kind of laid there like a stuck goat or pig or lame duck, maybe. Like, what do you? Oh, the choker. What does that mean? You know, it just it's just really funny how she puts it. It's like, just let him talk about it. Oh, okay. So you mean to tell me he got to the part where while Moses is traveling to Egypt, God gets so fucking pissed at him that he's about to kill him. Luckily, Moses' wife is there to remedy the situation by cutting the tip of her son's dick off and throwing it in the face of Moses. Well, throwing it at the feet of Moses. And then God sees it and he is pleased and allows Moses to keep going. You mean to tell me that he told you that and you weren't like, okay. So like if God's ever about to kill me, I just need to cut the tip of a penis off and throw it at someone's feet? You got to that part? What about the part where the donkey like talks to a person. Like you got to that part and you were like, oh yeah, science is so not legit. I'm going to believe this frickin' fairy tale that mimics Shrek.
I think that God helped me do that, because otherwise I wouldn't have wanted to listen on my own. I would have just said, no, I can't do this.
I implore every atheist out there to read the Bible or the Quran or just one holy book at all. And if you honestly read it cover to cover, I can guarantee you will only be solidified in thinking that it's complete bullshit. I won't say that it'll turn you against the idea of God in general. I think that, like you could still believe in a God out there, just not the Christian God or not the Muslim God or the Abrahamic God. Like you could still be some kind of deist or whatnot after reading those books. But I just think that you really need to read the book cover to cover, which is what KC and I are actually doing on the YouTube channel. YouTube.com/Godless Engineer every Tuesday almost.
But God was definitely working through him to get to me. So over a short period of time, a couple months, a month or so, he was consistent in talking to me about the Bible, and he was actually praying for me as well every day. Every day he was praying for me. And
hashtag prayer doesn't do shit.
The Lord was softening my heart, during this time. And one day I was driving home from work. And there was traffic, so it was taking me a while. And there was just all these things going through my mind, and I didn't know why I was thinking about them. I was thinking about, wait a minute, is there really a God? And then I'm like, you know what? If there is, like, all these things that I've done in my life, all these things that I've done in my past were wrong and they're horrible.
Whoa. What the fuck have you done in your past that you're sitting in traffic and you're like, oh god damn, I need Jesus? Like what in your past have you done that you have felt was horrible? There's a second part to her testimony here where she talks about how she, was basically boyfriend hopping, I guess. She just had a lot of boyfriends or something. I mean, having a healthy, I guess, love life or sexual life it is fine as long as you're smart about it. You can be smart about it and it be okay. It's not horrible, okay? It's not. Now, what I would say would be horrible is like, oh, I killed my granny so that I could get some money for heroin and shoot up that night and then sacrifice a baby to the Dark Lord. Like, I think that would be horrible. But, I don't think that just having multiple partners at any point in your life, well, once you're of age, it is a bad thing.
All these things that I had done that I didn't really think they were bad. I didn't think anything of it as I was doing them.
Oh, you mean like voting? Because the Bible doesn't say shit about women voting. Actually, the Bible places women under the men, and the men run the household, and therefore the men should be the ones voting and running the country, which is how Pastor Anderson from Tempe, Arizona, Faithful Word Baptist Church, preaches it directly out of the Bible. So, legit.
It says that they should be keepers at home. They should be good. They should be obedient to their own husbands. Oh, those horrible, horrible days when women had no right. Right, let's bring them back. Let's get back to those days. What are you so worried about? What do you think they mean when they say women's rights? You know what they mean? The right to divorce your husband is what they mean. You know what they mean? The right to rebel and disobey your husband, the right to divorce him, the right to go out and get a job and make your own money, the right to tell him what to do, the right to go vote for our leaders as if women should have any say in how our country is run, when the Bible says that I suffer not a woman to teach nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence.
Suddenly I felt so convicted deep down. And it was kind of out of nowhere. I didn't know what was going on. And then, just thinking about these things on my drive home, I just stopped and I just broke down. I broke down in my car. I was crying. And I was calling out to God. I said, God, if you're there, I want to know the truth. I want you to soften my heart because I want to know the truth. I want to know if you're really there. I want to know you.
Okay. So I'm glad you're bringing this up, because you are telling me that you were in a very emotional state. You were feeling bad about the stuff that you've done before, and you're calling out to God in order to absolve you from feeling bad. I get it. I do. It's not convincing for me, or anybody that's wanting the actual truth. You're not gonna, you could call out to God, I guess, and get him to show you something. But when it comes right down to it, what this boils down to is the fact that she feels as though God exists, and she's got this emotional reaction to it, and therefore God does exist to her. And I understand that. Plenty of people are swayed to Christianity or Mormonism or any kind of thing by the feelings that they have. But you see, if you really were accepting of science and whatnot, then you would not trust those feelings, because you know that there's chemical reactions that explain why you're feeling that way, why you're feeling all those thoughts, or feeling all those feelings and having all those thoughts in your head. I mean, I remember when I was a Christian, I would regularly think back to I don't know, something I felt guilty about, wanking it off before school in the morning. I would feel legit bad for it, and I would delete good porn off my computer, and I'm still pissed at myself for that.
And I just started asking for forgiveness of, all my past sins, which I had never recognized as sin, because I didn't believe in sin. I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in angels and all this. I thought it was just fairy tale.
Well, I mean, if you didn't believe in God, why were you calling out to him to reveal the truth? Why were you feeling that way? I kind of feel like she had already kind of, I guess, softly turned away from atheism and turned towards Christianity if she was calling out to God and she was feeling guilty for all these past things.
Until that day, it was driving home from work one day in April 2015, and that was the day that the Lord granted me salvation. I didn't know what was happening at the time.
It sounds like the Lord slipped her a roofie, and she's like, I didn't know it was happening at the time, and I really don't even remember it now. But he definitely filled me up and exploded inside of me, and then left me wanting.
But that's he gave that to me as a gift.
You know what kind of gift I would want from the Lord? I don't know, $50 million. With $50 million, I mean, I could do a lot of good in the world. I'm just saying, God, if you happen to be watching this stream on Facebook in heaven.
After that, I kind of calmed down a little bit, and I had called my husband, who was then my boyfriend at the time. I had called him, and I told him what happened, and he was just really, he was happy for me, and I was like, that's weird. Why are you kind of excited about this?
Okay. So you're sounding a lot like Mary when the angel came down and was like, yo, bitch, you gonna have a child, okay? And it's like, oh, but I'm not, how am I gonna have a child? And it's like, well, you're betrothed to Joseph. Do you not know what happens when you get married? You fuck. I mean, that's kind of similar to the situation here. That's why I don't exactly believe her as far as the events as they play out. Because, you've got a Christian that has been working on his girlfriend for the longest time to get her to turn to God. She calls him in, I guess, tears, and says, oh, I've started believing in God. I'm a Christian now. I totally suck that God dick. And then he's like, oh, that's great, honey. Why the fuck is it great? This is horrible. What are you talking about? That doesn't make sense at all. This doesn't mesh with anything.
I just broke down in my car. I'm crying right now. And, I didn't understand it at the time, but he was happy for me because I became saved that day. God had pulled me out of the world, and he had pulled me out of the darkness, and he let me see the light.
Yeah, that's a good question, Casey. Where the fuck did she go? If she got pulled out of the world, did she have an out-of-body experience? Because, I mean, that ain't Christian. Like out of body, like the astral plane or whatnot. That's not Christiany shit. That's Wiccan shit right there. That's pagan shit. I don't know what the fuck you're feeling there, girl. But I would love to know where you got pulled to. Like, did you pull off the side of the road and God yanked your ass out the car, or were you speeding along and you know, God was like, "Don't worry, Jesus will take the wheel," and yanked her ass out? Like, women don't need to drive. Hey, that was God pulling out. Oh, thank you, Aiden, for that.
He let me see reality for what it actually is. And so that was about 2 years ago that happened. And over that period of time, I mean, so much has happened. After about 5 months of dating, a few months after, I would say maybe a month after I got saved, I was baptized. And then a couple...
The holy dunking of the water is always the best thing. That in no way was also part of pre-Christian religions in the whole idea of washing your body in order to rid yourself of sin, basically. There's no way that was stolen from other religions at all, and is in no way unique to Christianity.
Months after that, my husband actually proposed to me, and we ended up getting married 4 months after the proposal. I know it was really fast, but we got it all done. And it was such a beautiful wedding. It was gorgeous. It was
Was Jesus there? Did Jesus make an appearance? I mean, these are important questions that we got to know. You were just saved. You would think that he would actually be like, "I'm going to show up, fam."
Christ-centered. It was perfect. And it was probably one of the best days of my life, aside from, you know, the day that I became saved. I think about a month or two after our wedding that, you know, we found out we were pregnant with our daughter, and 10 months later she was born.
So you banged on the wedding night, I guess. One shot and you're pregnant. It seems very, I mean, that's very Christian of you to get it in the first shot.
Her name is Amaya, and she's now 9 months old. So that was a little bit ago, but
a little bit being 9 months, because that's how old she was.
It's just, and like I said, he's just blessed me with such an amazing family. My husband is incredible.
That's not God blessing you, though. That's just, if you feel like you made a good choice in a husband that was your choice, God didn't do anything. Just saying, like, you're tacking on a lot to God. Like, you're giving a lot of credit to God. You're not giving any kind of credit to yourself. It's not God that did it. It was you. Empower yourself, woman.
He's such a great leader for our family. He's learned a lot too.
Like how to put a choker on a woman? Ew.
In all of this. And I believe that the Lord is sanctifying us together in our marriage.
Can you imagine, like, the Lord is standing behind the curtain, like, at night, and he's like, "Don't worry, guys, I'm just sanctifying."
And yeah, so that's kind of my story. I just wanted to share that with you guys. It was on my heart. Maybe you have a similar story. And like I said at the beginning, if you guys have your testimony that you want to share with me, I would absolutely love to hear it.
Yeah, her video's over. And I would say that I would love to hear anybody that has like a similar kind of testimony. So yeah, I would appreciate anybody. Like if you happen to know a Christian that was an atheist or whatnot, tell them to message me. I do enjoy these kind of videos and conversations because it really kind of gives you an insight into these Christians that were formerly atheists, like for instance Lee Strobel. I don't think Lee Strobel was actually an atheist. I think that he was secular and then he became a Christian. Like I think that, you know, while he probably was some semblance of an atheist at one point, I don't think that he was like a legit kind of atheist. So her testimony here really does kind of make me think that the entire reason for her becoming a Christian was an emotional reason. She felt emotionally guilty for things that she had done in the past. Of course, she was using the moral standard of Christianity in order to feel bad. So it kind of makes me think that maybe she was already kind of Christian when she started to feel bad about it. It's just that maybe, because like even me, I didn't know I was an atheist, you know, when I actually started thinking that God didn't exist. It was only until later that I came to that conclusion that I was. So I would guess that that whole epiphany thing that she had was just her realizing that she was actually a Christian. I think that it was very much a long process for her to get there, which included the pestering of her husband to believe in it. And, you know, that really does kind of highlight how Christians treat people of other faiths. Like, she was starting out not wanting to push atheism on him or wanting to turn him away from anything. And then, but he was persistent about her needing to believe the same as him. And I think that's just wrong. You should never push a faith or anything on another person. Refute their claims, argue with them about how wrong they are, but don't, what I would say is don't go to somebody being like, oh, you're a Christian? Nope, you don't need to be that anymore. You need to be atheist. It's the only way to be. It's the only right answer. That's the only thing you need to be. Like, that's wrong, I would say. I would say that it's wrong for you to push a faith on any particular person or anything like that. I think that it's very, very important to allow people to come to those conclusions themselves, especially young children. That's why I try my best not to push my worldview on my son. I do teach him, like, you know, how to be good, and all those basic ideas of functioning in a society. I teach him all those things, but, you know, I don't try to push any kind of answer to the God question on him. So, all right, guys. Well, it was good seeing everybody. If you haven't already given this video a heart or a like or a laugh or anything, please do that now. We will see you guys later, and y'all have a lovely night. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice.